Welcome to 32 and 32, where we count.
Anyway, that's beside the point. At the end of the day, it's a business.
If you're the Rams, you are officially coming off the absolute worst performance in the Super Bowl ever. I think Robert Kraft is peas in someone else's pod.
I mean, yeah, Super Bowl wins are so old. I mean, the rings are probably to dust right now. So,
Not about the Eagles today. We're talking about the Bears.
Yeah. So, as usual, let's take a look first at their free agent signings. Thanks for watching, folks. That is today's analysis of the Minnesota Vikings. Welcome to 32 and 32, where we cover one team every day for 32 straight days, all leading up to the kickoff of the season on Thursday Night Football. Today's team is the Los Angeles Rams. Okay. Without going back on too much of what happened last season, which has been talked to death by now.
I just want to talk about it, but out of respect for John, I'm not going to talk about it. All I'm going to say is Rams, the NFC Championship was given to y'all. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, all right.
And it will be taken from you this season. Mark my word.
So, you do have to analyze one thing, though.
Yes.
If you're the Rams, you are officially coming off the absolute worst performance in the Super Bowl ever.
Yeah, I mean, there is no reason why you should let the Patriots hold you to 3 points. As dynamic of an offense the LA Rams are, in which, look, I'm going to give the Rams credit where credit is due. They have a dynamic offense. But there are some cons. All right, here's the cons. When Todd Gurley isn't showing up, the whole offense goes flat. And we learned that about them when they went to Soldier Field and got completely suffocated by the Chicago Bears defense. And I think when the Rams got exposed by the Bears, everything changes. Like the teams caught on to how to contain that Rams offense, because that Rams offense is deadly. We're talking about a guy like Jared Goff, who has a cannon of an arm. You got Todd Gurley in the backfield. I mean, you got Brandon Cooks. You got Cooper Kupp. Robert Woods. So this is a really dynamic offense, and Sean McVay, in my opinion, is one of the better offensive geniuses in the league. Just giving the Rams credit where credit is due. But what we learned about the Rams is that it's not rocket science to slow down their offense.
No, I think a lot like the Cowboys, they go where their running back goes. If Todd Gurley's doing good, the passing game does well, but when defense comes in and shuts down the running game, 9 times out of 10, Jared Goff all of a sudden starts to struggle because he's not quite developed into that quarterback that can take an offense on his shoulders yet. Now, will he get there? Probably.
Most likely. I mean, I do like the potential of Jared Goff, and we did see Jared Goff really come out last season. And also, I mean, the season before last. I mean, we really did see, we're starting to see Jared Goff grow before our eyes. And in my opinion, he's one of the better young quarterbacks in the league. But he just has to stop being so dependent on his running back like some quarterbacks are. Because in the NFL, of course, well, in football in general, I mean, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, the rushing game is what opens up the passing game, because when the running back's doing well, it takes a lot of pressure off the quarterback, and the quarterback gets a lot more comfortable.
And you saw last season where the Rams picked up C.J. Anderson late in the season, who did a good job backing up Todd Gurley and picking up where he lacked when the running game under Gurley was not there, but they didn't even attempt to re-sign him.
Which it actually really surprised me, because C.J. Anderson really showed up in the playoffs, especially against the Cowboys in the divisional round, and he actually filled in a spot that was much needed for the Rams, because something that the Rams had a huge problem with throughout the season was depth at the running back position. Who's going to carry the ball whenever Todd Gurley gets hurt, or if he's not showing up?
To me, another concern for the Rams is okay, you saw them last year when Aqib Talib was not in the game. Their pass defense just kind of sucked.
It was as if their pass defense was dependent on Aqib Talib, because Marcus Peters was just completely, offbeat whenever Aqib Talib wasn't playing. I mean, we saw that at the first meeting between the Saints and the Rams in the Dome. and how Marcus Peters completely struggled. I mean, Michael Thomas made Marcus Peters his very own son. I'm just saying. And Marcus Peters, if you're watching it, I'm not taking back what I said.
You know. So let's continue to move on. I want to take a look at free agency. And you got Clay Matthews, Eric Whittle, and for whatever reason, Blake Bortles.
I think with Blake Bortles, I think it was just for the Rams to pretty much just check the box. I mean, Blake Bortles really digressed. In my opinion, Bortles digressed significantly last season. And before last season he signed a major contract extension, it still wasn't a surprise to me that the Jaguars cut him. I mean, and I knew it was happening because late last season Bortles got benched. I mean, if y'all remember. But I think this can be a chance for Blake Bortles to show his worth. I mean, say if anything ought to happen to Jared Goff, God forbid, at the Rams' expense, maybe we might see a Blake Bortles that we haven't seen. The Clay Matthews signing was kind of surprising to me. I mean, to be first and foremost, honestly, I'm surprised the Packers let Clay Matthews walk. To be honest.
No.
That was just.
Well, they released him, or no, they didn't even offer him a. That's right, they didn't even offer him a contract.
Well, it's just going to show you football is a business.
But one of the things that just confuses me still is the Rams continue to bleed out players that they got out of the RG3 trade. This last year it was Tremaine Johnson and Alex Ogletree and Robert Quinn.
Right.
This year is LaMarcus Joyner, which they quote unquote replaced him with Eric Whittle.
I mean, you look at LaMarcus Joyner, you look at Eric Weddle. Though Eric Weddle, he's one of the more formidable defensive backs in the league, he's getting old. More kind of like how Ndamukong Suh is towards the end of his career. I mean, Ndamukong Suh, and they even let Ndamukong Suh walk, and Suh is right now with Tampa Bay. Ain't no telling what type of production he's going to bring, but that's when we're going to cover that whenever we get to Tampa. But back to the Rams. I feel that the defense is going to take a step back next season, a huge step back. I mean, look at all the weapons they had last season. They had Dante Fowler, they had Ndamukong Suh, Aaron Donald, Keith Talib, Marcus Peters. I think Mark Barron, I believe, right? Did they have Mark Barron last season?
I'm not sure, but you really can't take more of a step back than what they did against Kansas City.
Oh, though they beat Kansas City, that time, the offense was in full stride, though.
Yeah, but the defense was full stride.
Kansas City defense was just as bad. So,
no, that game came down to
who had the ball last.
No. It did not come down to who had the ball last. It came down to
I guess whose defense would make the play.
No, it was Patrick Mahomes not being able to come through in the clutch. He threw not one but two interceptions on two potentially game-tying drives.
The game was so long ago.
It was last season.
I know it was last season, but you know how much football was played between that game and now? Come on, man. This mind can only keep up with so much.
Not unexpected. Yeah.
Someone dial 911, please. But I think the offense is going to maintain their success next season.
Oh yeah.
Especially after their draft. And the draft pick I'm looking at, I want to say is Darrell Henderson from Memphis.
Yeah.
And he was actually last season he was one of the best running backs in the nation. So I feel that he's going to provide that much needed depth behind Todd Gurley. He's going to get that. And there's no other running back you would want to play behind besides Todd Gurley. Because Todd Gurley, you're looking at a guy who's been dominant from the time he came out of Georgia, and so he's the type of guy that I would want to learn from if I'm Darrell Henderson.
And You know, there's the thing about the Rams draft that stood out to me is they traded down twice, and then draft a running back out of Memphis. Which, I mean, you never know how someone from a small school is going to turn out. But I mean, after all, it's Memphis.
I mean, Jerry Rice came from Mississippi Valley State, and he turned out amazing.
Yeah, true that. Which is why I'm not totally discrediting it under any circumstances. I did notice that they drafted 2 players from the Washington Huskies defense, which helped them get to the playoffs 2 years ago.
With the Rams were, like, in my opinion, the Rams were very unpredictable this offseason.
Well, yeah, they traded their first 2 draft picks.
I mean, but coming from, like, seeing what they did in the offseason, I really think the Rams are going to maintain. They are going to be in the playoffs. This is going to be a playoff team. But I do see this as a team that the offense is going to have to carry them a lot.
Mm-hmm. I could agree with that.
I'm not going to expect. I mean, of course, Aaron Donald's going to be Aaron Donald. I mean, he's going to be a force on the defensive line. That's first and foremost. That's a sure thing that there will be some type of dominating performance from the defensive line. But and maybe the linebacker core, considering they got Clay Matthews, but Clay Matthews has gotten a little older. So and then not only that, he has to be a part of a new system. I mean, he's gonna be part of Wade Phillips' defense. So
which isn't bad.
I mean, it's not bad. I mean, Wade Phillips. I mean, he's a good defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I mean, I'm not expecting anything big out of their defense.
Oh, like I said last year, it just had a lot on paper, and then just was a complete dud for most of the season.
I was excited. Like the defense they had last year, I was very excited. I'm like, this is going to be the best defense in the league.
I mean, they came around, towards the season end, but at the same time, it's like, okay, as I said before, that was after Talib was able to come back.
I mean, to be honest, I mean, I feel. See, here's what the Rams got to work on. They have to, of course, work on their defense. They also have to work on their consistency on offense. And it looked like in the beginning of the season, it looked like their offense was pretty much unstoppable. But the Bears completely exposed them, and the offense wasn't the same after that. Todd Gurley was battling injuries. Jared Goff was struggling. And there should be no reason why you let the New England defense dominate you. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Patriots defense, but at the same time, if you would put the Saints in the Super Bowl, they would have dominated New England's defense. Just saying.
Well, that was an absolute pitiful Super Bowl.
I fell asleep during that Super Bowl. I'm not going to even lie to you. It was just a snoozer.
What? St. Louis kicker misses what? 3 field goals, and New England can only score 13 points despite Tom Brady completing 71% of his passes. It's such a bad Super Bowl.
And it's just like
tied at 3 at the half.
It was like all right. So I watched the first half. I watched like maybe a few minutes of the third quarter, and I fell asleep. By the time I woke up, the Patriots had already won the Super Bowl. And just basically, whenever the Patriots win the Super Bowl, at first when the Patriots started winning, it was like, go New England, dynasty. Now it's just simply like, congratulations. Y'all won the Super Bowl. Again, Tom Brady, get the hell out the league and just please retire. Bill Belichick, we are getting sick and we are getting tired of you. Congrats, you beat the Rams. They did not deserve to be there. The Saints would have beaten y'all, but congrats. Leave us alone. That's how it was.
Okay. So that wraps up this episode of 32 and 32. I don't think we have anything else to say after that. Bye.
He hasn't stopped Rams talk. That's playing.